with diabetes.
Wow. So he's 54. I believe he was diagnosed when he was in his 40s.
Yeah.
Late 40s. But Irv doesn't go to the doctor. So that's why he's so late being diagnosed, right? And then when he finally did go get a real physical and a checkup, he's like, you're diabetic. And he didn't believe it. You know, my dad...
type 1, Chris?
Irv was type 1. And then it started with type 2, developed into type 1. So my dad was diabetic. He passed at 86. And when we talk about this topic, why it's so dear and sensitive for me, is I watched him suffer the last 3 years of his life. So it's about quality of life. When Dame is talking about being able to be with his kids, it's about quality of life and the way you actually can stay here and keep doing that. We all have to go at one point in time. We just really want to go on our terms. That's how I look at it. And Irv, sadly enough, he did go on his terms. He just didn't believe it, and he was like, I'm going to go the way basically I wanted. He ate a bunch of Chinese food while playing poker and had a massive hemorrhagic stroke, which is bleeding on the brain. And then we talk diabetes, and I know Dame is saying diabetes. Diabetes is not what kills you. It's always something else. It's what diabetes does to the body that actually takes your life. Like it broke down his body where it was blockage and going to his brain. It created the strokes, but it stems from the diabetic issues that comes from diabetes. You know, it may have liver failure, kidney failure, and these are the things that actually consume or take your life. But I don't know anyone that's, and I mean, you have a doctor.
The calcium, you know, rough, and you have to watch those strokes because it can clog up your arteries.
Yes.
Got to be taking pills. So I take those pills and I get those examinations. It's just when you, I guess my approach on diabetes, I would say might be lucky because I was diagnosed when I was 15, and for 2-3 months, I was thirsty. Like 2 months, I lost a lot of weight. I thought I had AIDS. So I thought it was something that I wouldn't be able to beat. And what I told God was, if you give me another chance, I'm going to live life to the fullest. So when I finally went to the doctor and they told me I had diabetes, I actually was happy. Like, oh, it's just diabetes. I could take a needle and feel better. So for me, I thought I had so much strength and faith in God that He reversed whatever was and said, I'll just give you diabetes. I'll take diabetes over the other thing.
Yeah. Sorry, Dr. Dewan from Vanderbilt, thank you for joining us. Talk about what you've heard so far and what messages you'd like to send loud and clear to folks about lifestyle and about diabetes and about stroke.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. It's good to be with you. First, Chris, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Of course, I didn't know Irv, but he's obviously touched so many people. So I'm sorry for your loss and your family. Look, diabetes is a problem. It's a big problem here in the United States, and it's not going away. We know that there are a lot of risk factors for strokes. Certainly, diabetes is among them. There are other risk factors for strokes. You talk about things like high cholesterol, high blood pressure, or hypertension, even age. We know the older that we get, the more likely we are to suffer from strokes. And so it's not as if it's just diabetes, although that is certainly a very, very important factor. And certainly having good control of one's diabetes, we know that dramatically decreases the risk of stroke.
Yes.
So just run through some basics for folks. What's diabetes 1? What's diabetes?
Hi all guys, I welcome you back on here. If you need, consider subscribing, liking, and also share the video. So Irv Gotti's brother Chris Lorenzo Gotti has also come out again to pay his own tributes to his brother in a podcast he did with Demon Dash just recently. Like you saw at the beginning of this video, he actually talked about the real issue that affected his own brother. I think not to be hashing this video on Irv Gotti, but he never took so seriously the issue he had, the health issue he had, diabetes, because I was reading somewhere that by the time he passed on, he was eating chicken. By the time he got the stroke, he was eating chicken and stuff like that. that. So I think even in the video he did with Drink Champs, that podcast, he talked about, struggling with abiding with the doctor's prescriptions and rules and food he was supposed to eat. And man, this is, I think, partly on what really led to all the issues here. But of course, just a couple of days ago, the funeral service was held, and of course, so many big stars attended the event, the likes of Jay-Z, the likes of Jerome, the likes of Ashanti, and of course, we saw Jerome coming out with a very emotional and of course befitting tribute to his longtime friend, that is Irv Gotti. He said he really loved him, and of course we saw Jay-Z sitting in front of in the front row at the funeral, paying and of course commemorating his longtime friend, that is Irv Gotti. We also praying for the family, sending them messages of sympathies and condolences, and of course we continue to pray that they stay strong and go through this very tough